Hey friends. Um I'm up on Rabbit Mountain again. And yeah, I was having a positive outlook. It's grim, but there's a lot of light. We just got to stay in that kind of attitude, like we have to acknowledge the grim things going on. We have to acknowledge the negative, horrific shit going on in the world. And yeah. Okay. Well, you can only do that so much before it's like, okay, well, what do we do? You know? And in order to have the right what do we do momentum and attitude, you have to like have that positively. It has to be going forward. It has to be going to something better. You have to acknowledge the negative shit and go towards something better. This is like a follow-up to the last 3 videos I made, and it's a quick summary, hopefully, that's like, look, yeah, all that shit is bad. Like, the world is in it. We've put it in it. We've created a lot of horror in the world, like human beings, I mean. And we can stop. And also, I'm not saying this with the attitude of that a lot of this so-called woke movement, green, political shit. I'm not like humans are a cancer. Human beings are not inherently cancerous creatures, okay? We have the potential to be good or bad, you know? Like, we either can be cancerous, which means we're taking more than we're giving back to the world, or we can be, holy shit, look at that cloud, dude. Epic. Or we can be overall beneficial to the world. And we have to do that each as individuals. We have to outweigh in our lives like the good that we put into the world from the bad, and make up from the bad however you can, but don't hold on to the fact that you put bad into the world. Just resolve to do better. The reason a lot of people don't want to do that is because then they actually have to do it. If you never acknowledge the bad you put into the world to yourself and other people, then you never have to do anything about it. So that's what I'm doing, is having you all hold me accountable. This is me confessing the bad I have put into the world, okay? And this is bold. I might do it. I think in this video I'm going to talk about, the negative, like, that I've put into the world. I'm going to be as brief as possible because there's a whole story coming up about it. But, and to be honest, I think if I'm more brief, the more honest I am. So, the bad I've put into the world, right? I was talking with a new friend today. Her and I were talking about how our dads were narcissistic. And I think that word gets overused, like, because I made the point to her, like, our entire society is narcissistic, and we're all playing a part in that in some way. And so I'm going to take accountability for the part that I've been playing in this world, where I've taken more than my fair share. Like, I've taken more out than what I've put back, And that's not fair, because everyone's got to get along in this world. All the beings, like all the humans, all the critters, the creatures, the animals, like the insects, the plants, like, we're sharing this world, And again, I'm not trying to be one of these woke green people. Like, I think my favorite color is green. Like, look at my pants. If I can look at it out here, it's green, So that's what I'm trying to cultivate. So anyway, the bad I've put into the world. I told her that I learned a lot of, not like a lot, like I'd learned some pretty damn bad habits from my dad. And from my mom too, obviously, but like, I'm gonna, focus on talking about what I learned from my dad that wasn't good for a second. And that was basically like manipulating people to try and get my way from them. And I did that most recently with my best friend, who, for the purpose of these videos, I'm gonna call Tyler, okay? And yeah, I might just say my best friend, I might say Tyler, like, whatever. I'm not using his real name until he wants to say something, or he wants to say to everyone, yeah, that's what happened. Like, I'm not going to force him to do it, he's going to speak for himself. So I was manipulating Tyler, like, in order to get my way. And I'm not saying he's perfect, like, he had a part to play in this, but I'm going to take responsibility for my part, which was, in this case, I think worse than his. Like, I mistreated him definitely more than he mistreated me. And so we saw how fucked up the world was getting. We'd become really close. We relied on each other and trusted each other a lot. He came to find out that my trustworthiness was not what he thought it was. And because I was not telling him the whole story, I wasn't telling him about negative things that I thought about him or myself or the world, I wasn't telling him whether or not I thought we were going in the right direction. And I think that's what the good women should do, is if there's someone who knows about the truth of the world, our objective shared reality, there's a difference between right and wrong, then you should tell men what's the right way to go. And I was not telling him what I thought the right way to go was. So on one hand, that was his mistake because he just accepted that he thought I was honest. I think he knew better in some instances, but I think overall I'd manipulated him so much that he didn't know if I was actually ever being honest. So finally, he wised up and said, "You're lying to me and manipulating me, and I don't know if you're telling the truth ever or not." And he said, "You can't be in my life until you can be an honest person." And so now I've basically come full circle where I'm at least almost 100% completely honest. That's a big statement, okay? Not a lot of people can say that. Well, this is me putting my money where my mouth is. Money's not a good example. I'm showing with my actions that I am almost 100% honest of a person, and this is going to be a challenge to all of you because you're so used to me just giving you encouragement all the time. And this doesn't mean I don't still love you. And when I encouraged you, I did still love you. When I would encourage Tyler, I love him. Like, I never stopped loving people, But acting that way and feeling that way are different things. So this is me acting that love out. And that's what Dan is doing. And that's what he's inspired me to do. And the reason we don't all want to if we just got together and shared our resources instead of everyone individually thinking I got to get every little individual thing for myself. Like, I'm not saying we can't have property. I'm not saying again, I'm not like, give me all your money. I'm like, actually don't give me your money. Like, my goal is to be able to get along in life and then also help other people using as little money between us as possible, and then eventually none. And Tyler is going to be rolling his eyes probably at me because he's going to be like, I told you so. And that's what money is one of the main things that was my addiction that really messed up our relationship, because I didn't want to trust him all the way because I could just have money, right? This is what we all do. We're so scared of each other, and we've perceived that we've been like so messed up by other people, and it's like, no, we haven't. We've just let other people mess us up, So let's take some damn responsibility for ourselves and say, I'm gonna just be as self-sufficient as possible. Not extreme, okay? I'm not saying hole up in your house with all your belongings and just be a lone wolf about it. That's what I was trying to do. That's not going to work. Maybe you have to go through a bit of a lone wolf phase, whatever. But like, get your shit together so that you can help a community of people get their shit together so that we can all come together and help each other. And that's going to take quitting money, quitting eating meat, getting off of the internet. And those are the main things. And then once we do that, we can commit to each other to help each other raise young people and children that are within our reasonable sphere, of life, like good friends with children, who need help. We can commit to doing that. And I'm going to do all these things. Like, I'm going to document doing all these things, and you're all going to hold me accountable. But let those without sin cast the first stone, okay? Like, that means you're going to be accountable to doing it too. That's why people don't want to talk to Dan, is they know he's telling the whole truth, and they know that once they start listening to him or talking to him more, then they're going to be held accountable at a soul level. Because that's what he's accountable to. He's the most accountable at a soul level of all the beings on earth, because he was shown the full-on true reality, and therefore has a moral duty to share that with humanity to the best of his ability. And the dude doesn't have hardly any belongings. Like, he lives with his parents, and he's helped turn their mental attitudes and their health around. And he does that every day with the people who are the most downtrodden and, having the hardest time. Like, he works at Dollar General, you guys. Like, we seem to think that, an enlightened person is going to be like sitting in a cave at the top of a hill with no belongings, and people are going to go to them for advice, and it's like, or they're going to be some, well-off business person who's helping a lot of people, or the yoga person that's taught, thousands of people, or this really popular person on the internet. It's like, we're so confused, man. The enlightened being is going to be the one person that no one wants to talk to. Like, and yeah, Dan, he loves us so much, you guys. Like, and he's helped me to cultivate that love in myself, for myself, because I know his love is unconditional. And therefore, then start to put that unconditional love I now have for myself, because I know Dan unconditionally loves me. Now I got to put that out back to other people. So that means I'm going to try to use less and less money in my personal relationships with people, in my very personal, close relationships. We're going to do things for each other to help us spend less money. And we're going to do that in service to helping get free of work so we can spend more time with children and young people. And this is why I'm like, if everyone could just talk to Dan, if everyone in my life who has, the heart to listen to this and take me seriously could talk to Dan and then be like, oh, I see what you're saying, Kelly. Yes, let's help each other, I'm going to get back to the bad shit that I put into the world so y'all can know what you're getting into by, teaming up with me. if you guys hold me accountable and you really make me tell you the truth and you ask me, am I telling the truth, like often, and if I do mess up, you make me have the proper consequences to that. And my best friend was like, Tyler was like the very first person to actually say no to me, okay? So thank you. And you were right to do that, And if you really need to say that for yourself to people, then go ahead. If you don't, then don't worry about it, If I do fuck up and say something wrong, then you have an obligation to tell me, Tyler and everybody else, okay? So, that being said, I know the difference between right and wrong now. So, this is something else that people have done, and I'm not saying I've never done this to people, but people in my life haven't known the difference between right and wrong. Therefore, they didn't. Whenever they would like criticize me, I don't think it was really for the right thing a lot of the time. And I would do that for other people too. It's like, look, we got to save our criticism for when people are going really, really the wrong way, And all the other fucking stupid, piddly shit that we argue with each other about, well, if we were in person, like, we could get through those things. If we actually had to rely on each other, we could get through those things and into the really serious things, about when we're going to criticize each other. So anyway, this is the first, major wrong that I want to get everyone's attention about and put out into the world and like confess about, is that I was manipulating Tyler, telling him that I was basically all in to our, adventure. And then I actually wasn't, because I was just selfishly, wanting to find another guy to be with, or really that was kind of the main thing. And so I was using his abilities to get me to that point of just finding another man to follow. And then I was going to leave him, and well, he beat me to it, and so that was shitty of me. And I did a lot of really manipulative things to him, I never stole any of his personal belongings, so that's one thing, right? So this is another thing, and I'm just going to talk about this because it's over and done with, and y'all can do with it whatever you want, but I'm saying, like, this is how my thought process used to be. So, when Tyler and I went rafting in Idaho, we each did a commercial trip, like, guided, got paid to guide people down the river for this company, a river trip. You guys will know what I'm talking about. Look it up if you don't. It's fine. It's like you're camping on the river, okay? And you take your belongings down and all the food and everything like that you need to survive, and you run the rapids, and then you pull over every night and you camp. And so he and I were doing this. We were being paid to do it, and we each did trips separately. The trip that I did separately, the commercial trip, right, that I was a river guide on, was called Hell's Canyon on the Snake River. Fitting for me and my, the way I was acting in the world at that time, because as Mark Passio says, I had a mini-me Satanist mindset where I was like more interested in getting things for me. And I'm not saying other people didn't have that mindset, to lesser or more, whatever extent. Like, I'm just taking responsibility for my piece, okay? So yeah, that's how I was acting, like a little mini Satanist in the world. And this will demonstrate that. At the end of our trip, we had a great trip, and, overall, like, I did a decent job on that trip. We were, one of the guys that was a guide on our trip, this kid, he was around our age, and I forget exactly how old he was, 20s, 30s. But he had, some mental handicap. And whatever word you want to use for that, I'm not trying to put anyone down in that situation, please. You guys know me. I'm not trying to do that. Anyway, he had some mental disabilities and that whatever. One of the most pure people that I've ever met was this guy. And anyway, at the end of the trip, we had this fully loaded trailer with all these boats, like thousands of pounds, and it's halfway in the river. And our boss tells him, hey, I'm going to call him Tommy, okay? His name is Tommy. It's not his real name, but hey, Tommy, go put your foot on the brake. The vehicle's turned off, the e-brake's on, everything like that, but you just never know. So it's like, go put your foot on the brake, and that'll be your job for while we finish this up. And so then he asked me, like, which one was the brake? Because he doesn't drive. And it's like, well, I drive. I've been driving for freaking 20 years, And I should have known, first of all, which one the brake was. But I had this moment of totally spacing. And instead of taking the time and being like, hold on, I don't really know right now. I'm tired, okay? Or instead of just being like, guys, I'm a dumbass. I totally forgot which one is the brake, I said, I told him the wrong one. And it's fine. Nothing happened. The vehicle's off. The e-brake is on. It could have been a disaster, and it wasn't. The horrible thing about that was the fact that I was literally willing to not put my ego down and and just be like, God, I don't know, dude. Let me go ask someone about something that I don't know right now in the moment. And I was willing to just throw this guy under the bus, like if things went totally south for me not telling him the one it was, because he sincerely asked me that question from a genuine place. And I basically lied to him. And if that disaster had happened, like, he could have died, any of us could have. Like, I don't know exactly where people were on the trailer, but like the fact that I was willing to put my ego and my pride above like other people's lives, that's what that story is all about, you guys. And if you guys want to talk to me, fine. Look, it's over. Nothing happened. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. And I'm going to share this with him and his parents, and all those people that know him. Like, I'm going to share this with them because they deserve to know that, And they also deserve to know how manipulative and dishonest I was being with Tyler, because after I left, because Tyler was like, no, you can't just grift on me anymore. And you got to be honest if we're going to have a relationship, And so after he left, I was so nice and bubbly that everyone just assumed that it was something that he did to me. And it wasn't, you guys. It was me. And you guys treated him like shit after that. He told me about it. And, you could apologize to him if you're brave. And he will gladly accept it. And, he loves all you guys. Like, we both do. So, like, and so I would like for people to get a hold of me and talk to me about that. Because a lot of you guys in the past couple years, I've told these things. Like, I've told you how much I was manipulating Tyler. And sometimes you take it in and sometimes you don't. And I understand that I got to move on, right? Obviously. But I can't until I get this off my chest to everyone in a public way. I can't move on. And I'm prepared for whatever happens to me as a result of pouring my heart out and telling everyone how I fucked up, Those are the worst ones, okay? I'm going to get into more details about those in a further essay, but that really is the core and the crux of, like, the worst things I have to tell people about how I've acted, Actually, there is one more thing. As this goes, there are people that I more personally want to get into things with, and I'm not going to use your real names in all this, and I'm going to keep the most personal stuff, like, between us, but this is one more thing, like, I have to share about, that I want to get into. But anyway, we'll get into it later. So Tyler, my best friend, and I, like, we planned a Grand Canyon trip together years ago. And it was epic and it was awesome. And all the people that went with us are great. After that trip, my dad got a permit for another trip. And if anyone was involved in this, you know what I'm talking about. And so my dad invited me like a year before he invited all of you guys. And I knew the minute he invited me that I didn't want to go. I'm not trying to talk bad about my dad, but I do have to be honest about him being, he's a manipulative person. Okay, well, that's because other people allow him to manipulate them, okay? And you guys, we were all in on this one, all right? Like, so that was my bad. I should have said no right away, but I didn't want to, lose his relationship or hurt his feelings or whatever kind of silly thing it was. And because I was still pretending to be a little princess, because he would never really say no to me either. So I didn't tell you guys what a manipulative, crazy person my dad could be, all right? And everyone got roped into this trip. He roped my friends in because I was like, actually, I didn't say yes right away. I said, I'll think about it for like a year. And then once all you guys were roped in, I bailed on the trip because I knew how my dad could be. My bad. I did not tell you guys about what a crazy person he could be. I should have done that. I basically lied to you guys, okay? And the other part of that is that I know that you guys all had interactions with him that would have shown you that he was not a safe person to do this trip with. And you had a responsibility to respond to that in the proper way and say, no, we don't want to go on this trip because you're not a safe person to do this kind of thing with. You guys should have known that and done it for yourselves. And I finally got off the trip and then the whole thing fell apart. And I should have just said no from the beginning. But I was afraid of losing face with all of you guys because then I knew that you would have been like, wow, if your dad's a manipulative person, not a safe person to be around, okay? I'm not putting him down. I love him, but it's like that doesn't mean he's got to be involved in my life in any sort of way. And so I should have done that. And I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I just, again, was saving face. I was like, well, and a part of me wanted him to be redeemed in my eyes, because he had been so manipulative to me as a child and never physically did anything to me. Like, just emotionally, whatever, right? Like, and so, yeah, I was afraid of that dark part of myself that my dad had, that I had learned from him, these manipulative things I had learned from him. And I didn't want you guys to see that about me. I didn't want to admit that about myself, Because if I was going to be like, oh, dude, I don't want to do this thing with you, you're crazy. Like, then it's like, well, what does that say about me? And it's like, well, then what I had to do, which is what I had to do anyway, was look at myself honestly and be like, Kelly, you're being kind of a monster in these certain situations. Like, maybe you need to take a step back from your ego and get out of the game a little bit, and really assess yourself. Like, I didn't do that until Tyler said no to me, and then I was forced to do that, And so, this is the thing, you guys, is no one would ever say no to me. No one would ever say no to my dad, and there are a lot of people who still don't say no to him, and Tyler was one of the first people to really say no to him besides me. And so that is a good thing, and that is also why I grew so much resentment towards Tyler too, because he did say no to my dad, and cutting out that fantasy for me that he could ever be someone that my dad could ever be someone I could really trust, so then I never learned to just trust myself, so that's like a lot of the recent bad stuff that I've put out into the world, and I'm making it right, and I'm doing it publicly, and y'all can point fingers at me and tell me what a monster I've been in all this, but The whole point of this is for us to start a real honest confession with each other. And I'm not gonna fucking try to take anyone down, or, like, I'm gonna listen. Whatever you've done, like, it's okay, dude. Like, if you're willing to move forward, like, and you're willing to admit what you've done wrong, those are the kind of people I want in my life. Okay, so let's get these phone calls going. Like, I'll get to you when I can. Okay, don't push me. Yeah, like 33 minutes. That's pretty damn good. That was the wrap up, guys. Welcome to the first, 4 episodes of Kelly Marie Fuge. Confessions. Kelly confesses. That's kind of funny because my parents almost named me Kelly Claire, which would have been Casey. So it's like, Kelly confesses, So I'm going to confess and I'm going to move forward. And I love you guys, and I'll see you on the other side. Mwah. This rainbow formed, like, right there, dude. My car is, like, down there. It's right there. Wow, dude. So, okay. I think that means I'm on the right track. Also, I don't want to talk bad about my dad. Like, he and I did a lot of awesome stuff, and so this was like kind of like that. We used to climb mountains, and it was fucking awesome, and I enjoyed every minute of it, even the dangerous parts. And my mom and I did some great things too. I had a great childhood, great adventures. Like, holy shit, they're here with me. You guys all are. Wind and rain coming from that one. It's like, oh. And then there's these like honeysuckle smelling flowers. It's crazy, dude. I'm having a Colorado moment. I'm like, as long as I live in Colorado, I'll be okay. So I love you guys. Let's fucking do it. I got the rainbow, man. It's all we need. So let's go find the gold in our hearts and then bring more of that out onto the world. That's what we need. Love you guys.
Flowers, you belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Somewhere all bright and new. I have seen no other who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. Somewhere you feel free. Of cover.